are powers on Earth too hidden to be seen, and conspiracies too vast to comprehend. For years, the world has seen fact distorted, reality manipulated, and the truth concealed. Join the PIERRE SABAK podcast to uncover the real meanings behind ancient aliens and their symbolism.
Hi, this is PIERRE SABAK, unlocking the keys to the mysteries. Now today I'm going to look at the spiritual hosts, but before I can focus on the spiritual hosts, I need to go over some ideas in relation to the host, and in particular this idea that the hosts are both physical but they're also spiritual as well. And we really need to understand this dichotomy when we're talking about the angelic host and the angelic sailors. So I'm just going to go over a few different etymologies, and I'm going to discuss some ideas. First of all, I'm going to look at the idea that they're physical, and then we're going to move on into the realm of the spirit and what this actually means. So when we look at the Elohim, we can say that the Elohim, that they're understood as the high ones. They're also understood to be a type of living God. Hence this relationship between the Elohim, which are often referred to in the biblical and apocrypha tradition as the Elakeh. Now the Elakeh is a type of high creature, and the Elakeh are really they're really correlated with Kael, which is this host. And so we're seeing that there is this, if you like, this relationship between Elakeh, which is a living God, it's polymorphic, it also means a high creature, and Kael, which is the host. Now, we need to be very clear about this, because in this respect the living host are correlated with Kael, which is an animal, and Kayin, which is an entity. So they are a type of being, they are a type of entity. Hence there is this relationship between the Arabic word kayin, an entity, and aya, which is coming from the verb to be. Now there is kayar, an animal, and kayin, which is an entity, but there is also this tie-in with the jinn as well, because the Elohim are physical entities, the Elakeh are a physical entity, but they're also identified with the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits. So Kayin, an entity, as this dual persona of Karin, which is a type of companion spirit or a jinn. Now the Karin, this familiar spirit or companion, is understood in this respect to be Erin, which is the watchers, related in the singular to Ir, which is a watcher. Now the Erin are also known as the watchers or the shining ones. Now this is important because the Elohim are depicted within the apocrypha traditions as vipers, and they are described as looking like vipers. So the watchers or the shining ones are understood in this respect to be the seraphim. Hence this relationship, if you like, between Sopheth, a watcher, Seraph, and Serepha, which is fire. In the Greek also, drakon is related to the root drakain, which is to watch, or to shine, or to flash. So we can say that the Elakeh are high creature and their living hosts, that they are clearly in this context understood to be physical animals. In particular, they can be understood to be entities, and they are very much paired with the jinn or the spirits, which are these beings or these living creatures. But they have this dual manifestation, if you like, between the spirit and between being a physical entity. They are understood to be watchers. They are understood to be a type of seraphim, which is this non-human angel or a shining one. All of these are esoteric markers of Sirius. Now we can say therefore that the Karin, it's a metonym of the Kiraman Katabin. Now these are understood to be the noble recorders within the Quran. This is a very complex subject, and it's something which I wouldn't mind actually talking about in a different video. But again, that there is this relationship with the noble recorders, and the noble recorders are related to the Karin to this idea that the Karen is a type of watcher, and that they're watching and that they're shadowing humanity. And this is important to understand when we're looking at the cognate, if you like, between Karen and Erin, which is a type of watcher, which are related to the Elohim. So we can say, therefore, that the Karen can be understood, if you like, to be a type of spiritual double. The Karen, which is a constant companion, it relates to Erin, which are the watchers. And again, the etymology of Erin, a watcher, is related to the Elohim, hence this relationship between Erin, which is a watcher or a shining one, and the Elohim in Greek also. We have Theos, God, Theoros, which is a watcher, and Phos, which is light. Now, it's very important to say here that the Elohim are this holographic race. They have deconstructed the mechanics of reality, and this is very important for us to understand and for us to get our heads around this, because if we don't, then we're just going to be tripping up with this paradoxical, almost contradictory language. But once we understand that the Elohim are understood to be spiritual beings, they're understood to be physical, they have this knowledge where they have deconstructed or disassembled the physical parameters of reality, then we know that the Elohim are really understood in this respect to be a type of holographic culture, a culture which understands the waveform and the duality between the waveform and the particle. And this is very much borne out also with the names of the Elohim as well. So the wording Elohim, the lofty ones, is really can be split between two traditions, between the ru'akh Elohim, which are the high spirits, and the elacheh, which is a living God. Now the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits, are a type of jinn or a type of watcher, hence Elohim, and Erin, which is a watcher, related to Karen, which is a type of jinn. And again, we're finding the same word plays between the elacheh, which is a living god or a high creature. These are polymorphic words. And the Erin, the watchers, and Kayin, which is a type of entity. So we can see that the Karen, which is a type of companion, it is very much closely paired with Erin, which are the watchers or the shining ones. And the watchers or the shining ones are the personification of the Elohim, which is a type of God. As we said before, Theos, God in the Greek, Theoros, a watcher, Phos, which is light. Now, the shining ones are understood to be the seraphic host, or the seraphim, hence the relationship between the seraph and the shining ones, or the watchers. Sophia for watcher, seraph, serapha fire. Again, in the Greek, Drakon, which is from the etymology of drakein, which is to watch or to shine. It has this connotation of flashing. Now, we can say that the dragon or the seraphim again are closely identified within the Greek traditions with the archons, which is an angel or a ruler, and archon, which is a seraph. And all of these different entities, or the Elohim, which can be grouped together generically under the Elohim, they can be understood to be a type of jinn or a type of high spirit, but again that there is this close cognate between the jinn and the angels. And I know that this isn't accepted within Islamic exegesis, but it is something which is actually found encoded within the etymologies. And so I think people need to be open to this idea that the angels and the spirits are one and the same thing, and that there's certainly a very good argument to say that the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits, and the elacheh, which is the singular for a living god or a high creature, that these are all generically the Elohim, and that they are one and the same thing. Now, the seraphim are a type of non-human angel. They're a non-human species. They're physical entities, but as I've said before, they can dematerialize. Hence this dichotomy between the elacheh, which is a high creature, and the ru'akh Elohim, which are the high spirits. Now, the Elohim also are closely connected with the symbolism of the dragon and the jinn, and I think that this connection also needs to be highlighted, and it's an important connection which we need to make. So I'm going to show you these relationships, if you like, between the serpent and the angelic host, and how this ties in both with the Elohim, but also with the jinn and the angelic sailors also. And I think that these are important connections which we need to make. So if we look at I'm going to here try and cite some polyglottal symbols, so it are polyglottal word plays, and these are puns or word plays which are repeated in many different languages, but we're finding these polyglottal word plays which are found within the Greek and also within the Aramaic and within the Hebrew and within the Arabic. Now, if we look at the Aramaic word for the Elohim, which are the gods, the Elohim can be rendered as the ru'akh Elohim, literally the high spirits. Now, the Elohim, as I said before, are really identified with Erin, which is a watcher or a shining one, and the Erin were represented as a type of serpent, in particular a type of viper. They were said to look like vipers in the Testament of Amram. So we see that there is this close cognate between the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits, or the Elohim, and Erin, which is a watcher, and Awim, which is a type of serpent, and it's encoded within the etymology. But again, we're finding similar relationships between the Greek word, which is archon, which is a type of angel, Acon, which is an image, and Akan, which is a seraph. Now again, the archons can therefore, they can take on, or they can manifest, or the implication is that they can change their form, or they can change their shape, or that they are somehow connected to illusions, and this is very important when we're looking at the jinn. So just to repeat those word associations, we have the archon, Acon, which is an image, and Akan, which is a seraph. Again, similar ideas are also found encoded within the jinn also. So we have jinn, Jannah, which is the Arabic word to hide or to conceal. The connotation here really is of this invisible race, because the jinn are said to be hidden or to be concealed. And in the Old Semitic we also have Jen, which is a type of seraph or a serpent. Again, the Old Semitic word Jen would denote presumably a shining seraph, hence the jinn are said to be born from fire. So in this respect the jinn are the same as the seraphim, serapha, which is fire. Now, it's very interesting because when we get to Yahweh's name, the transliteration of Yahweh, according to Bullinger's commentary, is Aya. Now, Aya is a wordplay on Aya, which is an appearance. Again, this is understood to be a type of entity or a type of manifestation. But Aya, an appearance, is related to Aya, which is a snake. And again, this is also found within the biblical tradition of Yahweh Sabaoth, the Lord of the host. Saba, which is literally means army, can be understood to be the angelic host, but as a connotation of Sevet, which is a crew of a naval vessel. So this is understood to be a naval host. So therefore, Saba, an army, is related to Sepheth, which is a type of serpent, hence the relationship with Seraph. So we have Yahweh Sabaoth, he is the Lord of the seraphic host, hence this relationship between Aya, Yahweh, Aya, an appearance, in this respect a type of manifestation, and Aya, which is a snake. Again, within the Aramaic we have the seraphim, which would be related to the Egyptian Arabic word shofar, which is an appearance, and seraph, which is a serpent. So when we're looking at these word associations, we can say that the Greek title archon, an angel or a ruler, we can say that this originates from the Babylonian root of Akan, which is a seraph. So in this respect, the archons are very much tied together with the seraphic tradition. And as I've said before in my previous videos, there are non-human angels, which are reptilian in appearance, which are described variously as the seraphim. But the same word for the seraphim, Sophefa, watcher, Serapha, which is fire, can also be rendered as the Erin within the Hebrew, which literally means a watcher or a shining one. The watchers are the shining ones. Again, in the Greek is Drakon, which is Drakain, to watch or to watch or to shine. Now, the etymologies of the seraphim, they're all interconnected with the Elohim, hence this relationship between Elohim, Erin, which is a watcher or a shining one. The watchers are the shining ones, the plural word. But we're finding the same word association again in the Greek. Theos, a god, theros, a watcher, phos, which is light. So we can say about the archons and the angels and the seraphim that they have this dual nature, that they can take on a physical form, but they can also dematerialize. They have deconstructed the mechanics of reality. And in this respect, they can be understood therefore to be spirit-like. They can be understood almost to be non-material, not in a literal sense, but in a sense that they can manipulate the laws of reality. And we can say, therefore, that the etymology of the archons in particular, and arcana seraph, and acon, which is a type of image or likeness, these are all vocabularies which are describing apparitions or spirits. Now, as I said before, these wordplays are polyglottal and they work out in many different languages. So we find that the same pun is also found within the Aramaic lexicon of Ayar, a snake, and Ayar, which is a look, appearance, aspect, shape, figure or form. The etymology Ayar, a look or an appearance, aspect, shape, figure or form, is polymorphic, but again the connotation is of Ayar, which is of a serpent. And as we said before, the wording goes back to Ayar, which is Yahweh, hence Yahweh's name is taken from the verb to be. Yahweh literally meaning I am. I am in this context really is a type of entity, hence the Latin word entitas, which is derived from the verb to be. It's a type of entity. It's a type of living creature, an elake, a high one, related to Kea, which is a type of animal. And we've got the relationship with the Elohim and the Erin, which are the watchers or the shining ones. Again, we're seeing this etymology or juxtaposition between the Karen, which are the companion spirits, but related to Kain, an entity. So the interplay between the physical and the non-physical. And this is basically it. The jinn, although they are often depicted as an inorganic species, they can manifest physically. They are living creatures. They are understood to be alive. And they have this duplicitous quality in which they are said to be able to change shape or to feign the appearance. They are phantom-like. They can materialize. They can change shape. And they're often equated with deception. They have a deceptive appearance or a form. And this is going back into the traditions of the dragons and the spirits, and how they are identified with the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits, and the personification as a living being, a helake, a high creature, a living god. So these terminologies are all polymorphic, and they all interrelate to the angelic sailors, which are understood both to be non-human, as in the seraphim, and also proto-human, as in the cherubim. And we have this juxtaposition between the physical and the non-physical, which are found both within the Bible and within the Apocrypha tradition. Okay, I really wanted to try and summarize both the physical aspect of a living deity and also the spiritual aspects, and just see how, in particular, how the spiritual aspects of the Elohim are tied in with the veneration of the serpent, and how they're equated to the seraphim in particular, or to the worship of the dragon. And I think I'll just review this quickly before I sign off. So we can say that the ru'akh Elohim is a close cognate of the Elohim, is a close cognate of Erin, which is a watcher or a shining one, related to Awim, which are the serpents, hence this relationship with the Erin, who were described as looking like vipers in the Testament of Amram. So the Erin are really a translation, or can be understood to be another word for the seraphim. We said that the word seraphim or seraph is a close cognate of the Egyptian Arabic root shofar, which is an appearance. Again, it's relating to serapha, fire, sophef, which is a watcher. These are all other words for seraph, which is a serpent. In the Greek also, archon is related to acon, which is an image. So the archons, which is a type of angel, they are deceptive. They take on an appearance or an image, acon, which is an image. And this image is serpent-like, hence the Babylonian root of the word Akan, which is a seraph. Again, Akan, a seraph, would relate to the royal lineage. Akim, which is the Arabic word for the royal lineage, where we would get the Greek root Aken, which is to rule, which is the verbal root. Once again, the archons are tied in into the spiritual tradition of the hosts. Hence this relationship of the spiritual host, which can be rendered as the ru'akh Elohim, the high spirits, but they are also a type of jinn. Hence the cognate between jinn and janna, which is to hide or to conceal, which is related to the tradition of jinn, which is a serpent. The jinn, once again, are born from fire. Hence the word jinn is translated as a seraph within the Hebrew, and there is this interplay between between the Shining Ones and the Watchers, and those who are born from Sirius. So that's basically a summary of the Elohim and their divisions between the Elakeh and the Ru'akh Elohim, which are really understood in this context to be a type of holographic culture, a type of holographic species. These entities, they have deconstructed the mechanics of physical reality. They can manipulate the waveform. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed the video. This is PIERRE SABAK. Please subscribe to my channel. Please give this video a thumbs up. And again, I would ask that you pass around these videos, because I think this is very important information. And again, it's feeding into the scatological tradition and the tradition between the angels and between this idea that they are angelic sailors and this classified or concealed tradition. Okay, this is PIERRE SABAK. Thank you very much. It's very great to be online again and to be talking. Thank you very much. Let's try and make this a better world. Thank you.